Hey guys, got a relatively easy lesson for you today. So most of this stuff is just showing, Americans are creating their own culture at this point. And, at this point, the culture isn't just guns and big Hollywood movies, but it is about thinking deeply about nature, is kind of a lot of where our literature is coming from at this point. We have transcendentalism. It's a really American movement that started at this point, where not only do you have people who believe in nonviolent resistance, but you also have people who believe that you can find God or you can connect to yourself better by just going into nature and just being surrounded by the beauty of nature. Okay, that's a very big, very American sort of concept. You had other folks at the same time who were like, you can become more manly by going into nature, or you can prove yourself by going into the wilds of Africa or something. But just being in nature and not accomplishing anything, not killing anything, is actually a very American concept for at this point. And or at least in the white world, we have other folks in Asia who have kind of similar concepts, especially in Japan. We have other folks in native colonies or native settlements and native places where they are also have more of similar concepts, right? But so this starts to become more mainstream in white culture anyway. We have a number of different literature that's coming out. It's kind of becoming more mainstream, which is cool. Sorry if it's really loud. They have to have the door open for some work that's happening. Alright, so we have all that going on. Over here, we start to get to some of the sadder bits of American history. We have, but it's actually kind of cool too, because we have folks who are standing up for the rights of slaves, standing up to try to end slavery in America. Okay, when we talk about, oh yeah, this guy had slaves, but he's a product of his time, I never bought that argument. You can be a product of your time, right? But it doesn't take a genius of today's level. It doesn't take somebody from the future to tell you that slavery is wrong. People who saw slaves, people who saw these people, the mistreatment of these people, most of them knew it was wrong. Like, you have a lot of examples of people who did not like slavery. Okay? Many of our founding fathers didn't like slavery. They thought it was necessary because they didn't know how to start a country and to be profitable and to make money without it, because the economy was already sort of on that path. But many of the founding fathers kind of lied to themselves and told them that, well, it won't be around forever because eventually we'll replace them with folks who need jobs and we'll do it differently. And that it was almost true until the cotton gin really exploded and we needed lots and lots of labor. So you have, most other countries, by the way, have outlawed slavery at this point. America is one of the last. So when you say product of their times, keep in mind we were at the bottom of the class for this. A lot of folks were speaking out against slavery. We have William Lloyd Garrison, a white man, and you're going to read some of his works over here. You're also going to read some in class if you haven't already. He does some pretty cool stuff. Okay, again, sorry about the noise. Really interesting to see, the kind of stuff that they did to try and dehumanize these people, to try to, because you can't make slave out of a person. You have to make slave out of an animal. Okay, and it's not that this person ever thought of himself as an animal, though white folks definitely tried to do that as much as possible. But it was also important for the people around him to see them as less than. So they worked really, really hard to create this dichotomy of us versus them. And this is, I think, why slavery in America becomes so bad compared to slavery in other places. Is slavery in America and the Americas really, really became a situation of slavery based on race, where that was not a situation before. Not really. Generally, your slaves in the Roman Empire and the slaves in Egypt and the slaves in China, they looked mostly like you, right? They're very similar sort of hair color, eye color, skin color. But this was a situation where they really didn't look like you. And so it was easier for you to tell yourself that they were less than you, that they were not as evolved as you. But you still had many people who saw that person who was like, yeah, that's a human. I don't care if his skin's brown. He's still a human. Okay. Really interesting speeches. Okay. From an escaped slave, a woman who was taken into slavery against when she shouldn't have been, and a white dude at the time. We have women. We have Susan B. Anthony, who's on our money. She's got the dollar coin before Sacagawea. And these folks were working to get not just rights for black folks, but also rights for women. Okay, you see Frederick Douglass in there. A lot of women, in particular, saw the need to eliminate slavery. Okay, and a lot of black men saw the need to help women get the right to vote. They realized that we should all have the right to vote. Okay, they were in the same camp of not being able to vote. And so when suffrage really takes off in the early 20th century, early 1900s, you see a number of black men who are working hard to help women get the right to vote. Okay, all right, and that's our work. It's relatively straightforward. So have a good one, my dudes.